You're being priced out of luxury on purpose. The label screams fancy, but the math says affordable. If you switch from sticker shock to cost per bite. Today, we audit 10 items that look high-end and taste 5-star, yet come in at pennies per serving when you source smarter and use less. Stay with me. We'll shake a bottle to verify quality, slice thinner to boost flavor, and outsmart branding that pushes you toward bland, processed filler. By the end, you'll build a chef-level pantry without bleeding your budget. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. You walk past the seafood case like it's a trap. Shells look pricey. The truth is mussels feed for like a bistro for the cost of a drive-through order. They're sold by the bag, not the ounce, so the math is already on your side. But the shell pile looks like money. The label screams seafood. You worry about grit, safety, and a sink full of work. Fair. Let's clear it up. Farm mussels are usually depurated, pre-cleaned in clean water, so prep is fast. Rinse, tug any beards, and tap the open ones. If they stay open, toss them. 10 minutes in a pot with garlic, a splash of white wine, and tired herbs, and they make their own sauce. That broth is liquid-proof. A cheap baguette turns it into dinner. Nutritionally, you win twice. High protein, low fat, plus iron and B12. Use a hot lid. Stop when shells open, and you're done. Per bowl, you're paying pocket change for rich, briny flavor people order beside a steak. Once you see how theater can be cheap, aroma is next. You smell truffle once and think, that's a $100 plate. The lie is you need a fresh truffle shaved tableside. You don't. A small bottle of truffle oil or a tub of truffle butter gives you the same high-end aroma for pocket change because you use drops, not glugs. Truffle oil gets a bad rap for being fake and heavy-handed. That's from cooks treating it like a fry oil. Use it as a finisher and it behaves. A few drops on scrambled eggs, risotto, or even popcorn flips the switch from plain to plush. Truffle butter does the slow carry. Melt a pat over seared mushrooms, and the scent hangs on. Storage is your control point. Keep the cap tight, stash it cool and dark, and use it within months while the aroma is sharp. Many bottles use lab-made aroma compounds. Judge by your nose and taste, not the price tag. The payoff lands fast. Measured in drops, cost per plate is cents. From perfume to protein, flavor blooms when you pick the right cut. The industry sold you on boneless, skinless breasts as the healthy move. Dry, bland, and somehow not cheap. You want moisture and real flavor without paying steakhouse prices. Thighs fix that. They carry more fat and collagen, which acts like built-in insurance. So they stay juicy and forgive a late timer. Sear skin on in a hot pan until the fat renders and the surface goes crisp, then finish in the oven. Or go the opposite way. Simmer until tender, shred for tacos, sandwiches, or rice bowls. On busy nights, braise with onions and a splash of stock. The meat stays supple, and the sauce makes itself. Cost per ounce usually undercuts breasts. Dark meat holds on to spices, so marinades taste louder and you need less. Buy bone-in, trim yourself, and keep what you cut. Rendered bits can grease a sheet pan for vegetables. Bones drop into a pot and become stock. That's double value from one pack. The payoff is simple. Fuller flavor, lower spend, happier plates. Speaking of flavor carriers, let's talk the fat that turns potatoes into a side people remember. You think fancy bistro when you hear duck, but the pantry move is simple. A jar of duck fat that outperforms your so-called premium oil. It sits in the regular aisle, not behind glass, and turns basic cooking into crisp, deep browning without fuss. That jar looks pricey at first glance. The question is value. Does it stretch farther than olive oil? Yes, because you use less and you can reuse it. Duck fat handles heat better than many common oils, so you get even sears and real crust. Roast potatoes until the edges go bronzed and shattery. Sear green beans or mushrooms and they keep bite. Fry an egg with a small spoonful and the white laces up while the yolk stays lush. Keep it sealed and cool. After cooking, strain out bits and pour it back. One jar runs for dozens of cooks, so each use cost coins. The flavor is clean, savory, and it carries herbs like thyme or rosemary without turning greasy. Crisp, bronze potatoes, restaurant results, lower per serving cost. If you like rich, wait till you meet the steakhouse spread that's hiding in bones. It shows up as a $20 appetizer under dim lights. In the butcher case, Those same beef marrow bones sit with the scraps, priced like they're headed for stock. That gap is your advantage. Bones look like a project. They're not. Ask for canoe cut if you want a long trough of marrow, or cross cut for tidy rounds. Lay them on a hot tray and roast at about 450 until the center turns glossy and just quivers when you tilt the bone. That wobble means spoon ready. Now the elegance. Scoop, spread on toasted bread, hit it with a sharp parsley lemon salad and a pinch of flaky salt. The acid cuts through the deep, buttery richness so it eats clean, not heavy. Marrow is rich in fat and collagen, so treat it like a weekend treat. Small amounts go a long way. Then keep the bones. Simmer them for broth and you get a second value hit. Deeper flavor for soups and sauces. 2 courses from 1 buy. Lavish toast tonight. Fortified soup later. Per person, still single digits. Now for the spice that looks expensive by the gram, but cheap by the meal. They call it the world's most expensive spice to scare you off. The trick isn't tablespoons, it's threads. Use a pinch the size of a paperclip and you get the effect restaurants charge for. Sticker shock stalls people. A jar looks steep, so it sits on the shelf. But is it a ripoff or the bargain hiding in plain sight? Let's start with how little you need. 10 to 15 threads lift paella, risotto, or even tea. Bloom them in warm water or stock so color and aroma move into the liquid, then add that to the dish. Spanish saffron brings steady value. Iranian often hits harder. Ethnic markets usually undercut the gourmet aisle by a lot. Store it airtight, dark, and dry. Check for real threads. Uniform red stigmas, no yellow bits. Used right, cost per dish drops to cents while the flavor runs bright and clean. The payoff is quick. Golden rice, honeygrassy aroma, luxury for pocket change. From rare spice to French spread built from humble parts, we keep the cost sharp and the flavor louder. Looks like a boutique buy with French labels and a high markup. The truth is this fancy pate or mousse spread starts with one of the cheapest parts in the store, chicken livers. That's why it fits the affordable luxury playbook. Awful scares people off. Texture worries. Strong flavor fears. Fair, but handled right, you get silk, not grit. Let's start with the method. Sauté onion in butter until soft, add clean livers, and cook just until pink fades. Splash in brandy, reduce, then blend with more butter. Season with salt, black pepper, and herbs. Strain if you want velvet. Chill so it sets. You end up with a smooth mousse that eats like it came from a bistro. Here's the kicker. Livers are low cost and yield high. A single batch fills jars. Serve on crackers or crostini. Add cornichons or pickled onions for acid, and it eats balanced, not heavy. Portion into small containers and freeze. It holds well for weeks. Spreadable luxury at cents per canopy. Season your way, no deli markup. Let's move from spreadable to sliceable decadence that waits in your dairy aisle. Brie or camembert. The rind looks fancy, like it needs a tuxedo and a silver tray. The math says it is a weekday treat if you handle it right and use small amounts that hit big. People worry it will taste funky or that you need a cheesemonger to pick one. You do not. You need a small wheel or a modest wedge and a bit of patience on the counter. Let it warm to room temp so the aroma wakes up. Then use thin slices. Paper-thin sheets melt on a cracker or a warm baguette like soft butter. Or bake it until the center sags and runs. Even a small wedge turns lush and spoonable with almost no work. Check Best By dates and feel for a slight give through the rind. Skip pieces with harsh ammonia smells or heavy brown patches. Balance the richness with tart apples, pears, pickles, or a spoon of preserves. Look for basic regional cues and skip paying extra for a loud label. One wedge does a lot. Grilled cheese upgrade, baked with jam, or a few slices on salad. From creamy to tinned, good fish is next. The tin aisle hides a European tradition in plain sight. Sardines have sat there for decades, steady and ignored, while fancier seafood gets the spotlight. Branding screams budget, not luxury. You brace for fishy and bland. That fear usually comes from weak tins or rough prep, not the fish itself. Let's start with what to buy. Pick olive oil, packed, skin on, bone in. You get omega-3s, calcium from the soft bones, and better flavor from the oil. Now the move. Lay them on hot toast, squeeze lemon, add herbs, maybe a dusting of chili. Clean, bright. Or fold them into pasta with garlic and the tin oil. The sauce builds itself like a quick pan juice. Here's the real kicker. Tins last for months, so you waste less and shop once. They bring dense protein and key fats for a few dollars. In blind tastings, simple, well-sourced tins often beat the premium label, so origin and packing matter more than branding. Clean, meaty flavor at cents per bite. Last, the citrus trick that turns stews and salads into chef plates. The preserved lemons jar looks imported and fancy. The truth is you can make it with salt and thyme, and the result gives you bright, layered flavor without the boutique price. What they don't tell you is the payoff sits in your fridge for months. People assume fermentation is risky or hard, so they skip it and pay for weak substitutes. You do not need a lab. You need clean fruit, a sterile jar, and patience. That is it. Quarter fresh lemons, coat with kosher salt, pack into the jar, and press until they release juice. Top with more salt if needed, so everything stays submerged. Leave it sealed at room temp for a few weeks, then move it to the fridge. The peel turns soft, salty, and floral. Rinse, scrape out the pulp if you want, and dice the peel into dressings, tagliatelles, or grain bowls. A small spoon lifts a whole dish. One jar seasons months of meals. Cost per spoon is cents, and the flavor hits like a squeeze and a zest in one. Now you've seen how the label misleads and the math redeems. You're told luxury equals a high price. That's the con. Preserved lemons show why. A staple of Moroccan fine dining, but at home it's salt and citrus. Pennies to make. Months of payoff. Shiny jars push you towards staged branding and weak knockoffs, while the real flavor sits in the produce bin. Make a jar and run a micro-cost audit. Thin slices of the cured peel season a whole salad bowl. A teaspoon in Italian salts, perfumes, and replaces 2 add-ons. Freeze extra zest and keep the jar working. The brine doubles as a sharp splash in dressings. Judge by taste and texture. The peel should be soft, not mushy. The aroma bright, not harsh. Use blind taste checks at home. Put your batch against a store jar and let the table vote. Store right to avoid waste. Clean jar, lemons submerged, then chill. Label the date and you control quality. Here's the payoff. Cost per bite collapses. You pick flavor, nutrition, and price, not the label. Ready to put that into action this week. The real kicker, luxury isn't the sticker, it's the bite. Count servings, not slogans, and the gate swings open. Price per use flips the script. Saffron by the thread. Duck fat by the spoon. Truffle oil by the drop. Pennies, not pounds. If this gave you something to chew on, like and subscribe to help us keep the spotlight on the food industry's best-kept secrets. You pick flavor, not a label. Try one swap this week. Mussels, duck fat, or preserved lemons, and watch your budget taste better. Roast with duck fat, drizzle truffle on eggs, or spoon chop preserved peel into a salad and see it jump.